Hi, welcome back. We are in Exodus chapter 12. And I'm Jenny with Ripples of Faith. I am reading out of the New King James Version. I'm inviting you to read along with me if you like. You don't have to. You can listen to it in the background and you can read whatever version you're most comfortable with. So in chapter 11, Moses went to Pharaoh and said that the plague of the firstborn is going to happen. And so now we're in chapter 12, and let's see what happens. It's about Passover. Passover's instituted. Verse 1, Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be your beginning of months, and it shall be the first month of the year to you. So he designated their calendar. If it wasn't already designated before, then he redesignated it. And he's saying that when Passover starts, that's the beginning of the Jewish calendar. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th of this month, every man shall take for himself a lamb according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And in the household, if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of persons, according to each man's need. You shall make count for the lamb. So he's saying you're going to have to do this. This is going to be a celebration, actually, a holiday. And your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it from the sheep or from the goats, so you can have a sheep or a goat. Now you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. So the lamb is about a week old. Or they take it, no. It's a lamb within the first year. You take it on the 14th, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Take a lamb. Keep it to the 14th day of the same month. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it at twilight. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and on the lintel of the house where they eat. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Do not eat it raw or boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its head and its legs and its entrails, so the whole lamb. You shall let none of it remain until morning, and what remains of it until the morning you shall burn with fire, and thus you shall eat it, with a belt on your waist, and your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, so that you shall eat in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. So basically he's saying, this is like a quick meal. You're going to eat it quickly. You're not going to waste it. You're not going to leave anything behind either. And you're going to be ready to travel, okay? You're going to have your staff. You're going to have your sandals on. You're going to be ready to go at a moment's notice. And we're not leaving anything behind. You eat the whole lamb. Whatever's left over, you burn it. For I will pass through the land of Egypt on that night, and I will strike all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Now the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. Remember, or maybe we haven't read that yet, but the blood signifies life. And the sacrifice, the lamb is a picture of Christ. And that blood that comes from that lamb that they put on the door is a mark saying that it's a sacrifice for sin, really. And so that they're saying that this household's covered by the blood of the lamb. Right? We've heard that before. We're covered by the blood of the lamb. And that's the sacrifice of Christ. So when the Spirit of the Lord comes through and puts his judgment on Egypt, those who are protected by the blood of the lamb are not going to be, affected the same way. So this day shall be to you as a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it as a feast by an everlasting ordinance. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove the leaven from your houses. For whosoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. Leavening is sin. It symbolizes sin. And on the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and on the seventh day shall be a holy convocation for you. No matter of work shall be done on them, but that which everyone must eat, that only may be prepared by you. So you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for on this same day I have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day throughout your generations as an everlasting ordinance. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. For 7 days no leaven shall be found in your houses, since whoever eats that is leavened, that same person shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he is a stranger or a native in the land. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your dwellings you shall eat unleavened bread. Now that's interesting. Even a stranger in your land. So if you have somebody coming in, a merchant or a guest or whatever it is, a friend who's not part of Israel, they have to follow this as well. And and they will be protected. And again, this is, this is another symbol here, or a little glint showing that God's mercy and God's grace is going to be extended to the Gentiles. And we see little pieces of this throughout the gospel and throughout the Old Testament and all throughout the Bible. He really doesn't exclude the Gentiles. He came to the Israelites first, but he has said, even in this particular instance, places where somebody who is not part of Israel can still be protected if they follow the guidelines, the laws, the instructions, however you want to say it, that God has given them. And in this case, he's talking about the blood on the doorpost, okay? The sacrificial lamb. And eventually Jesus' death on the cross, and how his sacrifice affects all of us. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said to them, pick out and take lambs for yourselves according to your families, and kill the Passover lamb. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop. That's a plant. Hyssop is a plant. It's one of the bitter herbs. And dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of this house until morning. Well, that's interesting. And maybe it's just the way that it's worded. Like, this says to strike it. So I'm thinking like this, like splashing it on the door, which would look kind of, it would be kind of a violent look. Like, I've seen paintings and stuff where they have the X, to symbolize a cross. And maybe that's why I'm saying maybe this is just the way that it's worded. Like, a check mark could be considered a strike. That's another word for a check mark. Like, if you're checking things as you're writing, check mark, that symbol has also been called a strike. So I don't know if he's talking about like just making an X, because an X and a check used to be kind of the same thing. So if he's saying like strike the panel post, or if he's saying strike, like hit it, because that striking would also be a symbol of the beating that Christ took. So I'm not 100% sure on this. It's just something that I'm wondering about. If you have any kind of thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it. Let me know what you think. So in verse 23, for the Lord will pass through and strike the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood on the lintel and the 2 doorposts, the Lord will pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to come into your house to strike you. Okay. It's starting to make a little bit more sense. And you shall observe this thing as an ordinance for you and your sons forever. It will come to pass when you come to the land which the Lord will give you, as he just promised, that you shall keep this service. And it shall be when your children say to you, what do you mean by this service? That you say, it is the Passover sacrifice of the Lord, who passed over the houses of the children of Egypt when he struck the Egyptians, and delivered our households. So the people bowed their head and worshipped, and the children of Israel went away and did so, just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So they did. Now we're in verse 29, the 10th plague, the death of the firstborn. And it came to pass at midnight that the Lord struck all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat in his throne, to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of livestock. So Pharaoh rose in the night, he and all his servants and all of the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Now that's interesting. Okay, so everybody from Pharaoh all the way down to the people in the dungeon. And I just want to look at that for a second, because, anybody who was in that dungeon may have been there because they deserved to be, or may not have deserved to be there, but they were definitely under the influence of Pharaoh, under his umbrella of authority, and it wasn't a good place to be. Okay, it was not a good place to be. There was nowhere safe under the authority of Pharaoh on this particular night. And thinking about what is Pharaoh, Pharaoh is the things that held the Israelites captive, but he's also a symbol of Satan in the world. And so, when we think about when the Lord comes, because the Spirit came very quietly like a thief in the night, just like when Jesus is going to come back again, he's going to come as a thief in the night. They knew it could happen, and they didn't do anything to protect themselves. And that's the same thing when we're in the world and we are under the influence of the ungodly things around us. There's something to think about. Are you under the blood of the Lamb, or are you under the authority of Pharaoh? Where are you, and where do you want to be when Jesus comes back? Verse 31, now we're going to start talking about the Exodus. Then he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, "Rise, go out among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go serve the Lord as you have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also." And bless me also. I don't understand why. Maybe okay, blessing just means to be happy. So maybe that's what he's saying. Like, get out of here. I don't want to see you anymore. I'd be happy to see you go. And the Egyptians urged the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, "We shall all be dead." So the people took their dough before it was leavened, and having their kneading bowls bound up in their clothes on their shoulders. Now the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, that they had asked from the Egyptians articles of silver, articles of gold, and clothing. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they granted them what they requested. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. There's that word, plundered. So I just think maybe I just don't understand the word, but they willingly gave everything over. They gave them clothes. They gave them all their valuable things. In verse 37, then the children of Egypt journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides children. A mixed multitude went up with them also, and flocks and herds, a great deal of livestock. And they baked unleavened cakes of dough, which they had brought out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were driven out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared provisions for themselves. Now the sojourn of the children of Israel who lived in Egypt was 430 years. And it come to pass at the end of the 430 years, on that very same day, it came to pass that all the armies of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night of solemn observance to the Lord for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord, a solemn observance for all the children of Israel throughout their generations. Verse 43, and the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the ordinance of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat, but every man's servant who is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then he may eat. A sojourner and a hired servant shall not eat it." Okay, so this is some stipulations here. In one house it shall be eaten. You shall not carry any of the flesh outside the house, nor shall you break one of its bones. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when the stranger dwells with you and wants to keep the Passover of the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and let him come near and keep it, and he shall be a native of the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat it. One law shall be for the native born and for the stranger who dwells among you. Thus all the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass on that very same day that the Lord brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt according to their armies. That's really interesting. Like, I'm wondering, these sojourners, are they people from Egypt who went with them as well? And the Lord is saying, no foreigner shall eat it, but every man's servant who is bought for money. So obviously they had to be circumcised to take part of it. So were there people who left Egypt, not just servants, but people who left Egypt willingly, like just a traveler who saw what was going on and said, I'm not sticking around. And, they were basically converted in their heart. And the Lord said, so in order to partake in this feast, you have to be circumcised as well. Maybe I might not be getting that correctly. I don't know. Again, if you have any insight on that, please put that in the comment section down below. I don't know everything. I just put what I think out there, and sometimes I get things from other sources, people who are more knowledgeable than me. But the Lord and the Holy Spirit can also talk to us, and I'm just like reading over it and wondering, obviously there were people who were not circumcised. So, and there's got to be a reason for this being here. That's why I'm questioning it. Anyway, that is the end of chapter 11.